Shalom, Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. Barakatah Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. The water Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. This is Apostle Ricard. This is just a little quick impromptu video. Just wanted to make a quick little point. Something that was on my mind that I want to get out there. Hey, man, once again, you know, everything, it's like in boxing, man. Everything starts with like, one of these old trainers told me this years ago when they come to boxing, right? Everything starts with a jab, everything ends with a jab, right? In boxing. Like, really, when you start off, whether you hitting the bag or even whether you shadow boxing, whether you hitting the bag, or whether you actually in the ring, whether you sparring or you in a real match, the first punch you throw is always a jab. And that's that like in boxing, that the jab, if you watch some of the greats, up until the current greats, like, you know, even if you watch Terrence Crawford, you watch anybody, everything that they, you know, some dudes are right-handed, some dudes are southpaw, right? But anyways, a jab. So the jab is this, man. I'm gonna start off with this scripture. You always start off with that jab, the main point. Esau, starting with these elites, really these elites, these little low-level Edomites, right? They Edomites too. And they're gonna go into captivity as well, right? I don't care if you one of the Rothschilds or you could be a Joe six-pack trailer trash Edomite living in a trailer park somewhere. They're gonna be in slavery right together. And in captivity, it ain't gonna be no ranks with them in captivity. You know, one of the head Rothschild, he ain't gonna be no better or less or greater than the Edomites that's working in the fields with him. And we're gonna have fun with them just like they did to us. But the scriptures say this, right? When the Lord raised us up and give us that power, Job 9:24, I'm gonna start with this. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And as you read on, of course, it says, he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. These Edomites, now listen, you hear us get on, look, the scripture said, begin at my sanctuary, right? So, in Ezekiel. So, yes, we get on Jake a lot because we have to get on Jake. The Lord is getting on Jake. The Lord told us to get on Jake because Israel is way the fuck out of order. But that doesn't excuse Esau, the so-called white man. These devils, I was watching something on YouTube earlier about out here in Texas in the 1850s, these Edomites had a thing where they would take that was going on. There's many stories of that. They would have certain Jake men run into the swamps and they would chase him. It was a sport. It became a game. Edomites would bet on it. Different plantation owners would come together and they would get their top, strongest, fastest slaves and let them loose into the woods, give them a 15-minute head start. That was a documentary I was just watching. And let them run. And then Esau on horseback with their guns, and they had them bloodthirsty dogs and let them loose and track down Jake. It was sport. It was sport. It was a movie in the 90s that came out, right? I saw the movie back in the 90s, the early 90s, with Ice-T. There was a few people in there. It was like an all-star cast, kind of. My man, Ice-T, you know, the rapper Ice-T, but he became an actor. You know, my man Ice-T, he be on Law and Order, but he did, you know, New Jack City, you know, Ice-T, you know, he became a top movie star. Started out as a rapper, but he became like a top, you know, movie star. He did like movies with top name actors, you know, New Jack City with Wesley Snipes, but you know, but this movie was a good one. This came out in the early 90s, Surviving the Game. I remember it was in the theaters. I saw the movie. And there was a couple of other top actors in the movie. I think this dude, F. Murray Abraham, was in it. I think Charles Dutton, the bald-head Jake, you know, Rock, Charles Dutton, and the white boy, the Edomite, Rutger Hauer. You know, like, you know, and them dudes are top, you know, name actors. That was to this day, that's a good movie. If you brothers look it up, check it out. It's called Surviving the Game. And pretty much that's what that was. It goes back to slavery. The Edomite slave masters, they would take Jake, because in that movie with Ice-T, Surviving the Game, he was like a Jake, and I don't want to tell the movie. I want you brothers, or you sisters, go look up their movie, see if you can find it. Ice-T, Surviving the Game. It came out in the 90s. And basically, he was a Jake that was homeless, down on his luck, like a lot of Jakes are, and these dudes found him. They saw him out there, right, and they said, this dude, he looked like a good specimen. But they played him, you know, that's the scripture. It says, never trust thine enemy, right? Though he come crouching and humbleth him, like he bowing or and winketh of the eye. The scriptures tell you about that. So they rug the hour and them. They say, hey man, hey, come here, bro. Like, we just want to help you, man. You seem like you a good, strong guy. Yeah, man. Yeah, we're gonna hook you up with a job. We got a job for you. Yeah, so they gave him money. They said, hey, go get a hotel room, clean yourself up, then meet me over here. And he met him. They cleaned him up. Gave him money. Let him get himself together. Gave him a place to stay. Said, yeah, we got a job. So they they got on a plane. They took him way out into the woods, up in the mountains. They had a nice big dinner. They had drinks. Gave him cigarettes. That made him feel like, yo, man, everything's gonna be okay, man, right? And then the next morning, they woke him up with the guns. Get up, boy, get up, man. No, this is the game. We fed you. We took care. Now you got to run. You want to live, run. So he had to run into the woods and pretty much almost like hunting animals. They went to hunt him down. But that was real. That movie was reality. It was based on reality. That's what these Edomites really actually did to Jake back during the slavery times. Yeah, I mean, they had Jake working, but if they got bored, then Jake became sport. So I can understand the hatred, so-called black people in their spirit, the hatred they got for these white people now. I could dig it. But it goes deeper than that, right? You hate white people. But then, like I said, coming into this truth, the first thing you do is accountability. But it doesn't absolve Esau of anything. These devils don't gonna have to pay. That's why the scripture said, Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Now, I had mentioned the scripture yesterday. I had mentioned something yesterday in the video I did, and it was going into, myself and another elder out here in the Dallas camp. We was talking to these two young Jakes yesterday afternoon. And they were cool. These two young dudes, two young brothers. Matter of fact, the high school right around the corner from where I live, they go to that particular high school. My woman's daughter went to that same high school. I ain't gonna say the name on camera, but it was right around the corner. It's a high school. And, I drive by, I see all the kids out there sometimes, coming from school, going to school. See all the kids in the neighborhood walking back and forth, whatever, right? It's like a little shopping plaza there. They got a little couple of restaurants and stores. The kids kind of hang out over there, whatever, right? But anyways, we were sitting there talking to these, we were, somewhere in the shop, and we were talking to these two young Jakes. One of them was getting their hair cut, and these dudes are young. They're freshmen. One of them was 14 years old. One of them was 15. But these dudes, they was cool. They wasn't your average. They wasn't Pookie and Ray Ray. They were like respectable young men. They were well-spoken. They didn't have the dreadlocks. They were just cool. And these dudes was 14 and 15 years old. They were respectful, and they were very mature for their age, man. They were sitting there actually engaging in a conversation. But they was telling us, they was like, yo, me and the elder, that, they were like, yeah, most of all them little young, because some incident went on. Somebody got shot a day or so ago over there. One of them kids shot another kid, but it's funny, they kept it quiet. It wasn't on the news. I guess they don't want that shit coming out, because normally on the local news, everything that goes down, they tell you, but for whatever reason, they wanted to keep that particular situation under wraps. Okay, fine. But anyway, the kids, they told us, and matter of fact, these two brothers we talked to, they said, yeah, we know them. Like the people that was involved in the incident, they said they know the people. They know who it was. Anyways, these young Jakes said, yeah, man. They said, yo, all the kids, pretty much all the mother effers in there got guns. They got guns. These young kids are carrying guns. It's all in the news. You hear about these little young kids shooting other kids, canceling each other out, doing what Esau want them to do. But my thing is, I even said this to my woman. I said, which is it really dumb for me to even ask the question. I'm like, where are all these young kids getting these guns from? Who's supplying these little mother effers with these guns? How is it that they just have access to all these deadly weapons? Primarily these teenagers. Kids at 14. You got kids at 10 years old, 11 years old walking around with guns, right? So Esau, but go back to this devil. Everything goes back to this devil, Esau, the so-called white man. You see what I'm saying? It goes back to him. That's why this man, Esau, is the devil. Because they want Jake to kill each other. They want Jake to try to cancel themselves out. They want to do away with Jake. That's their plan. You see what I'm saying? The scriptures tell you about that, man. You know what I'm saying? Though his wicked rusteth, like metal rusteth, his wickedness rusteth, like Esau, that perpetual hatred against Jacob. Esau ain't gonna let that go until he has so-called done away with all the tribes of Israel. And it's not just the southern kingdom, northern kingdom too. These little fucking Hispanic kids, they running around shooting each other up too. Guns, they got access to guns. It go back, and this has been going on for 50, 60 years. Like back in the 80s, man, out in California, you know, you had the Bloods and the Crips. And we saw a documentary on this. They went into it, that some of the older dudes that when they were young, they were gangbangers, but then some of the dudes grew out of that shit and so-called straightened their life out, and they was telling the story. And they said, yeah, railroad cars, you know, on the trains, you know, the railroad, and we got a lot of that out here. We got a lot of railroads out here, right? You know, that deliver cargo. And they said that Jake said that a whole like railroad cars will pull into these railroad yards, right? And the doors would be left open. And these Jakes, you know, Jake looking to see what they could steal. They would come and they would see loads of guns and ammo. So the elites, they are literally just giving Jake guns for free. Yeah, here you go, here, guns. And they know they got Jake so brainwashed and fucked up, right? Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Jake ain't gonna take them guns. Say, you know what, man, let's take these guns and use them on the cracker. No, they use them on each other. And they're doing exactly what Esau want them to do. So that's why you say this man is the devil. You see? And that's the reason why Yahushua said what he said in John 8:44, right? Ye are of your father, the devil. He was talking to wicked niggas, right? Ye are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth. When he speaketh of a lie, he speaketh of his own, right? You see what I'm saying? Because he is the liar and the father of it. Talking about Esau. So yeah, right then and there, Yahushua was talking about Esau, the Edomites. They're the devil. The so-called white man is the devil. If you're an Edomite, but you got so-called white people who look white, but they might be Israelites. No, some of them are Israelites. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it all goes into whether you are the elect, no matter what color you are. But your line has to go back to Israel through your father, not your mother. Okay, so we stick to the script here, man. But these Edomites, these devils, that's why, hey, man, these scriptures are like, put it like this, it's twofold, but this applies to everybody. Galatians 6:7, man. Esau, I'm going to end it with these two scriptures, because these Edomites, they are real fucking devils, man. They got to pay for the shit they did in the past, but then the shit that they still doing today, starting with these elites, man. The Illuminati, them Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, they're going to have to pay, man. And they will. And I'm going to end this with these, because I got to get ready to get up out of this house. Galatians 6:7. Be not deceived. The Lord is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So, yes, that applies to Israel. Hey, man, we sow what we reaped. That's why we're here under this devil today. But on the flip side of the coin, that applies to Esau. These Edomites are going to pay. They're not getting away. That rhymed, right? They're going to pay. They're not getting away, baby. that is a fact. Colossians 3:25. He that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he have done. Colossians 3:25. So, hey, man, all this wickedness and evil, don't worry about it, brothers. Esau going to pay. The Edomites and the people that did us wrong in particular. You know, if you had an Edomite on your job that fucked with you, an Edomite cop, that rap, whatever it might be, they're going to pay for it, man. And we're in the time of pay-up time. And they're the ones that got, yes, let's just come straight with it. Yes, Jake got to pay for the wickedness we did. That's why the Lord let Esau fuck us up. But I'll say this. The condition that Jake is in, Esau was culpable in that, man. They had a lot to do with it. You see what I'm saying? They had a lot to do with it. Don't listen to this simple-minded nigga. That nigga Jesse Peterson, I like to watch him sometimes because he's comical. He got a few points here and there, but that nigga's bugged out. Personally, I think he's another agent provocateur. He's set up just to create more confusion and lead people away from the truth. All them guys, Anton Daniels, Jesse Peterson, all them niggas, Cooley, No Fugazi, all them podcast niggas, those niggas are all paid off, brought and paid for. And niggas are Masons, all them niggas got charters. They paid off just to try to blind Jake out here from the truth, us. That's what they're set up for. Esau's behind all that, man. You see what I mean? But with that, I'm gonna wrap it up. Lord willing, I'll come back with another video later on, some more videos. I just wanted to make that quick point. And I'll say shalom to all of you of the hopeful elect. Shalom.